Hello, 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 Tampa Bay listeners and beyond. You've got everything PEO on Money Talk 1010 AM. I'm Evan Collart.
I'm Lionel Francis.
Good to see you, my man.
You too, buddy. You too.
Buddy, we are spoiled. You know, it's another beautiful sunny day here in Tampa Bay, Florida. Mm-hmm. Good day for a radio show.
All right, all right.
In my opinion. I may be slightly biased, but in my opinion.
Well, we got a lot to talk about today.
We do.
A lot of things have been happening. You been busy?
Yeah, business is
crazy.
good.
Yeah.
We're going to spend tomorrow canvassing Lakeland. We've got 20 agents on our radar. They're going to get some door knocks and some swag bags and kind of bring PEO to the forefront.
We're coming to you, agents.
Or
We're not going anywhere. Yeah.
At least the front door. But, yeah, you know, we've been stacking some pretty good weeks. The guests this year have been awesome. The Women Empowerment Series in March was gangbusters. Mm-hmm. And it was nice to have Steve Ott kind of do a lap, although he was supposed to come in studio last week, but duty calls. Unfortunately, he had to remote patch in, but I think the timing was right. You know, the feedback this week, and trust me, folks, we get your DMs, we get your emails. Thank you for, you know, contributing to the show and the input. It's always invited, but a lot of questions about the ERTC, that Employment Retention Tax Credit. It's kind of a big miss out there. I was literally walking into the studios and I heard that getrefunds.com commercial. And if you listen to this commercial, it makes it seem like everybody gets $26,000 per employee. It's a guaranteed layup, but it isn't, folks. All right, the employees have to qualify for the quarters on those 2 years. Your business has to show a loss. You had to be facing imminent shutdown. I mean, it isn't just as simple as filing and getting the pay. So stay tuned, get educated on it. But Steve's got a great product. And if you need some funding, it's as simple as going to PEOadvisors.com, top right corner, get funding. You're 2 clicks away from being in business.
Hey, listen, it's easy to do, okay? The process is quick. He could get you funding sometimes in the same day. Funding right now is going to be really important, especially for those who are still waiting for those funds to come in. The IRS is still backed up. There's no clue. No one has an idea when it's coming in or if it's coming in. So be prepared, you know.
I like how you said if, because I do believe there's going to be a lot of folks out there that are going to be disappointed. They filed, they've been waiting a year to hear back, and unfortunately they're going to hear the coffers have dried up. Just like how PPP was. Everyone was on that train, and everyone's high fives and hugs and measuring stick on who got and how much, and then eventually there was a round of people that said, oh, my bank said there was no more in the account. We got nothing.
Nothing at all, and please understand, clients, that the PEO, we want to help you, but this is out of our hands. The IRS controls everything right now, and we're at their mercy, hoping to get your funds to you. So be nice to your PEO, okay? Because they're working real hard to get your money to you.
They are. If they filed the amendment and you're in that batch waiting, they cannot file again until they hear. And so there's a lot of PEOs kind of on standby. But like always, we got to turn the page. In studio today, Clayton Turner, really a digital marketing expert. He is the founder of the Contractor Training Center, where he built and scaled rapidly, kind of a dominant national brand, kind of a niche, helps contractors and tradesmen reach their licensing, and more importantly, in their business growth goals. Business growth goals. Did I get that right?
Yes. Yep, all that.
Glad to have you, my brother.
Thank you for having me.
It's been, obviously you and I are in our EO group together, an entrepreneurial organization group. That's kind of where I met Clayton and, have kind of become dear friends in the process. And when we were going through last week and just the overlap and really how you can get the word out to help these businesses get on their feet, get licensed properly, it seemed kind of like a no-brainer for everything PEO.
Yeah, no, it's a great fit. Absolutely.
How did you get into something like that? I feel like that's a true niche, if you will, business.
It absolutely is, and it's a huge need. It's even a bigger need. 7 years ago when I was 10 years ago, I was helping a client in Virginia, and he had this company, and he was helping a handful of contractors every month, and I was doing digital marketing and Googling and ads, and I was pretty good at ranking sites, and I said, you ought to take this thing far and wide, and we could really amp it up. And he said, well, what about you just buy it from me? I was like, okay, I can do that.
Let me jump on the train.
Yeah. So that's what I did.
Well, knowing we were going to have you come in today, Lionel and I did some digging around on NAPEO. That's the National Association for PEOs, and they've got all kinds of good stats and analytics on there. It was really neat to see that, about 25% of the country's PEO clients are based out of Florida. Really, nearly 50% of PEO clients are based out of 3 states. That's California, Texas, and Florida. But the 3 biggest industries, in Florida, is professional, scientific, technical services, manufacturing, and then, of course, construction.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Big numbers here. I mean, the day of thinking that PEOs are meant for just the small to medium business is over. What do we got, Lionel?
Yeah, we got percentages here. 5 to 9 employees, 18%. We have 10 to 49 employees, 28% of the shares of the PEO.
28% of the market
28%
share.
of the market share, PEO, and 20 to 49 employees, 37%.
I think every agent out there may have just learned something, right?
I hope so.
There's a kind of a, a myth, right? Let's call it one of the PEO's biggest myths that PEOs are really only born for small companies.
Yeah.
37% of market share in Florida is going to employers 20 to 49.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty huge.
I think the only thing that's a little skewed a little bit, because I believe maybe because of the reporting, the 1, the 2, the 3-man groups, we're getting a ton of those coming in. New companies coming in with just 1 employees, and I think that maybe should be higher, or probably is higher. We're just not getting the data on that. But we started off with 1 employee, and then getting that person workers' comp because they couldn't get it before. And the next thing you know, they grew into 5 to 15 to 20 employees, and those employees decided to start their own business and branched out. So the PEO, again, has been around for a long time. We never shied away from helping someone and trying to get them workers' comp. We do our best to make sure we get them compliant and get coverage.
I think this is a good carryover, really, for Clay. I mean, for anybody listening out there, again, you got everything PEO on Money Talk 1010 a.m. For a contractor kind of to going down that path of getting their license, especially in Florida, I know there's a little bit of red tape. And there's a lot of licenses out there, Clayton, between the GBR, the NASCLA, and then, of course, each trade has their own license. Kind of start that process for our listeners.
Yeah, so Florida has several different licenses depending on your specialty. So if you're focused on the trades, HVAC, electrical, you go for that. That's a whole different path, but it's still the process is still the same. You have to apply. You have to take a business law. You have to qualify with all the state regulations, and then you have to take a technical test. And the trades are the same as the building, construction in that way. The process is the same. So you have to have your insurance. You have to have meet the qualification standard for experience, and you have to be financially stable. A credit score of 660 or more, or else you got to get a bond.
Wow, I didn't even really realize that it was off credit worthiness.
Sure. Well, if you don't have a 660 or above, you have to get a bond. So you can still get your license, but they do look at credit worthiness.
And bond, I'm assuming there's a certain percentage, a certain number, a dollar amount?
Yes, I think a normal, I'm not sure, is it $1 million? There may be a stat there somewhere, but yeah, there is a minimum.
Okay, and the hardest part, what's the hardest part about getting a license?
The tests by far.
Okay.
So the process that we step you through at Contractor Training Center, that is about a 14 to 21 step process. So we do have a team to help you do that application process. So we can get you through that part of it. Now, when we get you ready to test, you do have to study on your own. We'll give you all the material, all the practice tests, everything you need to do to be successful. But you need to spend a considerable amount of time on those books and in the practice tests. But as long as you follow our method, we'll get you to pass.
So you really do kind of quarterback them through that whole process? Is that?
That's correct, from beginning to end. In fact, we even have a consultation call if you're not sure where you are in the process. You can call us. We'll give you a consultation. It's $79. I'm going to give you a coupon code after this to give your audience 10% off.
Oh, that's awesome.
But we'll give you that for free if you buy our course from us. But we'll help you through the process because there's a lot of steps to go through to be qualified in Florida. A lot of people are not sure if they qualify or not, but we can help you figure it out.
So, and I don't know how intimate you are with these tests, Clayton, but, I was actually a mortgage broker in my former life. I know it's been a long time. That was through the refi boom, 9/11. I have been in PEOs over 20 years. But I hear this a lot just even with the insurance exam, right? I mean, you got 100 questions on there, and literally 90 of them are things that when you're kind of in the trade, you almost never think of. And then those last 10 questions are real time, what you're facing on the job site on an everyday basis. I mean, how tough is it?
That's true. And the same applies for this because there's a lot of theory versus practice, they call it. So there's a lot of things that they'll ask you on the test that you would not use in a day-to-day on the job site. But it is there to qualify people to make sure that they can figure out these problems, math problems, know where the code is. Good news is about most of the Florida tests that it's open book. So we're going to show you where to highlight in the book, where all the material is, or we'll sell you how tab and highlighted books. So we'll already point out where the code sections are, and we'll give you tabs, and you know all the books are tabbed. So you can go right to, if you hear a question about stair, riser, depth, and height, there's a tab for that. So as long as you know how to bounce around the books, that's what we teach you.
Yeah.
The answers are there. You just have to be comfortable with bouncing around the books. You don't have to memorize all the questions and answers. That's the good news.
When we were talking before we got on air, you said there's certain steps that to getting a license, and I always thought you just walked in, did study for the test, and get your license, and then that was it. But there's certain stages that you go into, especially there's also fees that comes with it. And I sat there saying, okay, when I started in the PEO industry, I used to find those classes, and I would sit out there with my card, and I was wondering, why isn't anyone biting on this right now? And now I know why. Because they're too busy. It's not over. Just because they went in there doesn't mean that there wasn't another test they had to prep for, be prepared for, and these other things they had to do. They weren't ready yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a multi-step process, and yeah, we get you through it. And it's harder now than it ever has been. Mm-hmm. But the good news about that is that keeps the fly-by-nights away and out of town. And, you know, because remember, it used to be so easy to pop into town, get your license, do a bunch of work that you weren't licensed for. Mm-hmm. And it was really not, wasn't fair to the real contractors who had a real business, had insurance, that bonded, or, they were protected, covered. So.
You mentioned bonded. You mentioned credit score. Any other things that could prevent you from getting your license that we need to be aware of?
So a lot of questions we get asked is my felony 10 years ago going to prevent me from getting a license? And the good news is the answer is no. It's on a case by case basis. Mm-hmm. There is a second chance mentality now going around the states about, hey, what you did in the past may or may not affect your success in the future. Show us your track record, what you've been doing. Submit your application. You may have to go before the board. But it's not a knockout factor anymore like it used to be.
Oh.
I think that's a wise move on the state's part. I mean, you could have got caught with a fake ID at a nightclub at 17, and you can't own a gun, you can't vote, and you can't build homes now, too. I mean, that seems nuts. And especially in the trades, right? I mean, everything that's code-specific, right? Plumbing has to be up to par, the electrical, the right wires, roofing, it's got to be the right wind impact. I mean, if they know these things and they can get through this, correctly, it just seems silly that we would prevent them, if something as silly as getting caught with a fake ID in high school, to kind of kick them out of it. So I bet that is a number one, because you just taught me something there. I thought for sure, and that's how I've always kind of talked to my contractors, is unfortunately, if you're a felon, you're going to have to qualify through somebody else. Well, we've got about 2 minutes before break. Really break down some of these costs. If anyone's listening, they're saying, you know what, this is finally the time. I want to jump off this plank and go down these paths a little bit. I know you mentioned there was a simple consult, $79, but what's that really look like when they get through the whole course?
So actually, the $79 consult call is free, because we end up giving that back to you if you end up buying a course from us. So, but if you go to contractortrainingcenter.com, there's a initial startup call consultation. If you use the discount code PEO, it's 10% off not only that consultation call, but any other course or service product. We have a license application product. It's $979. We'll walk you through the whole process to get licensed. We'll help you gather your paperwork. We'll review your paperwork before you submit it to the board, and we'll make sure that you're in compliance before you even submit it. So that gives people a lot of comfort in knowing that when they're going to apply, it's going to be accepted, because they reject 80% of the applications on the first try.
Wow.
Might be down to 70 now, but it's a lot of rejects because people don't either fill it out correctly, provide the bond form, provide the financial or the credit score or whatever. Something's not right 70 to 80% of the time. We prevent that.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have any kind of analytics when going through CTC, what that number goes down to?
So, our acceptance rate is in the high 90% because we make sure we know what they're going to ask for, what they'll reject. So we know. But that's just the first step. Once you get past that step, then you're going to take the business law test. Then you're going to take a technical test.
Remember, 10% PEO. Mention PEO, you get 10% off.
ContractorTrainingCenter.com.
There you go.
I think we should put a link in there when they want some insurance. They got those PEO guys you can call. There's plenty more coming back with Clayton Turner with CTC. Stick around, folks. We are back. Everything PEO, Money Talk 1010 AM. In the studio today, Clayton Turner, founder of Contractor Training Center, kind of helping your business through the process of getting properly licensed in Florida. And man, has this become a hot button since Hurricane Ian.
Big time. We still have companies coming into Florida without their proper license, getting arrested. And I've been able to save some of them coming into Florida and walking them through, hey, you need to get licensed if you want to work, especially in North Fort Myers area where the hurricanes went through. They are very vigilant in being out there and making sure they catch anyone who does not have the proper license to be out there working. So you got to be careful and get your coverage, get your workers' comp.
Yeah, we're excited. Executive producer Aaron Cornicker and I are going to go down to Fort Myers next week and kind of say hello to a bunch of agents in that area. And I know the need is for real. But, you know, Hurricane Ian aside, you know, the producers kind of threw this article in front of us today. No budget, no problem. How to start in business in Florida with no money. And there was some really big takeaways in here. It's not just because we get to do construction all year long. I think that's the no-brainer, right? Half of North America shuts down 6 months at a time. But Florida residents aren't subject to income tax. Sole proprietors and LLCs are also exempt from a state income tax. Florida's corporate income tax is lower than almost any other state. And the fees for licenses, right, Clayton, and registering your business are at an all-time country low.
Yes.
Which, you know, just keep ringing the bell in Florida. Doesn't Ron do that for us?
Yeah.
So, but there was several factors to kind of take away from this. I mean, obviously the income tax is good. But really, you know, when you're kind of deciding on a good business idea, you know, a couple things to keep in mind, right? Who's your target customers and what are their buying habits, right? Is there a need for your product or service in that area? Who are your competitors? And most importantly, how many competitors in your market? And I think Florida maybe gets a little saturated, right? After a Hurricane Ian type event, you know, we talked about it on this show a lot. These folks didn't just come stay at hotels; they moved here.
Right.
I mean, they know that the roofs are going to be tarped for the next 3 years, and they literally were packing up the vans and moving here. So, you know, certain industries I think are absolutely inundated, you know, in a saturation market, but. There's still so many ways to make money in this state. I think that developing a good business plan and deciding on good structure can kind of always get you through that.
Yeah,
So,
there's a list of things they went through. You mentioned a couple of them already. Deciding on a business idea. They said develop a business plan, decide a business structure, what you want to do, register your business, okay, and get licensed, permitted, and insured, which is huge. Make sure you do that. And start marketing your business, you know, getting with the right people to help you out, make sure everything's set and ready to go. The biggest thing I remember from having that month with all these entrepreneurs, especially women here, how they set themselves apart from everyone else is how what they knew they were great at and what they didn't know they were great at, and then got the help, got the right people around them to help them out that were better than them, smarter than them in certain areas that made them so successful. And I think that's huge.
I think that's kind of what CTC can do for these folks.
Even in construction, even in the trade scene, plenty of women that run the show and lead teams.
How many folks are coming to you after they've been through that denial? Are you getting to them before they even get to that process,
I would
or
say
is it a rebound?
It's a good 10%, maybe 15% have been denied in some way or another. Either their application has been denied and they need help with the application process, is what we do. That's the first step we do. Or they have failed the test, either the business law test or the technical exam. We help with both those. And so both of those going in blind without knowing what to expect it's just impossible. You can't go in there blind.
Clayton, would they have to start over and pay those fees again if they did not pass it the first time?
Unfortunately, they do to retest. You have to pay it, but the test fee I think is $80 at this point. Don't quote me on that, but they do have to pay to retake it. But if they've already applied for the license and taken the test and failed it, they only have to pay for the retest fee.
Sure.
Yeah, and the state GBR business law I think is unlimited times you can take it and fail it, but the GBR is like limited to 2 or 3 I think, and then the NASCLA, which is what we offer, which is a multi-state technical license, meaning you can do construction in 13 states in the Southeast, and that's one that you can fail twice I think, maybe 3 times, but we get you through that process so well that when you go in there, you're so confident you'll be able to pass once you go through our course and our practice test.
Yeah, just listening to hear every step and everything they need to go and do before they get the license seems, intense. So it would benefit for them to get with you,
Yes.
the company, and see if you could walk them through and make sure they get through this thing the first time.
That's right. We have a agent that's dedicated to Florida. All she does is help people with their license applications in Florida and gets their checklist together. You'll feel so confident and comfortable once you get on the phone with her, and you'll that she's going to take care of you and make sure you get through it.
Now, the GBR and the NASCLA, these are separate from the trades licenses? Or
Yeah,
is there
so
some
the
overlap
GBR
there?
is a state. You can work in the state with that license for general business, building and residential. The NASCLA, you can do and use that for multiple states: Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, Louisiana, Virginia, 13 states, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, except the NASCLA.
Oh, no kidding.
That's the national version of the GBR. Yep.
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking a little bit before break, or off break, I should say, and you were mentioning that in some cases, a full-time employee is allowed to assist through part of this process. Break that down a little bit.
Yeah, so you have the ability to break up the business law and finance to the back office employee, and then the technical test to the person in the field. So the business law test can be taken by the administrative person, and the technical test can be taken by the person in the field that's actually doing the technical work.
I found that interesting. And then we were talking about it again, and I said, well, I'm assuming they're partners. They would have to be partners.
It just
do
has
that.
to be a full-time employee.
A full-time employee.
Yes, sir.
So do you see that two-pronged attack a lot? I mean, is that fair?
Yeah, it's very common, especially if it's a husband-wife team or if it's somebody in the back office. It's the people in the field usually so busy that it helps to have somebody in the office take the business law test, because business law test covers what? Contracts, lien law, Florida state laws and regulations, accounting, bookkeeping. So it covers all the stuff that those people already do usually in the back office.
Wow.
So are these two different tests, or it's almost
Yes.
like they're literally separate?
Yep. Florida's a 2-license state. You have to take your business law test first and then your technical.
I wish someone would let me take my mortgage broker law test separate from the last 10 questions were really what I did on an everyday basis. So it sounds pretty intense, right? What would you say kind of best advice or someone needs to know kind of getting through this and really, how to prepare the best way?
So you make sure that you have the experience, and in Virginia, in Florida, that it's about like 4 years of experience if you want to get your own license. 3, one of them must be in a supervisory type position, which means you can have led a crew, been working for in some sort of supervisory role, but 3 years of experience and/or college and trades experience. So make sure that you are qualified for the technical test which you want to take. Now, sometimes we can help people figure that out if they've mixed over and done this, a little bit of that. Once they talk to our license consultation specialist, she can help you figure out, can we word that correctly so that it shows that you have 4 years worth of experience.
What's your thoughts on companies that, I guess they let another company use their license?
Yeah, you can use her license. Don't quote me on this. I think it's 2 companies, 2 EINs in Florida. That's the way it is in most states, but not 100% about Florida's regs on that right now. But that's not uncommon. But I would not just loosely let somebody borrow your license. I would be involved in their project. I would supervise what they're doing. I'd make them show you plans. I'd visit the job site. I'd be involved in every step of the
And I was
process.
going to ask you, what headaches do you see happening when they do that?
Tons of liability. If you're not involved in the process, you just give somebody your license. They can just do whatever. I would make sure that you know who you're dealing with, and then I would be part of the project.
Would it be fair to say if there was an injury or claim on the job, can it come back to bite them
Oh yeah,
as well?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, it's called, at least in Florida, it's called qualifying, right, through someone else's license. It is big business. I think Lionel and I would be naive to think it's literally probably not 30% of our contractors that we insure are qualifying through someone else. I mean, I literally had someone call our office today and say, I've just recently moved to the state. I do carpentry and concrete and remodeling. Do you know any GC that I can qualify under? Like I'm going to start calling my book of business and saying, hey, some Yahoo just called in saying, will you qualify? But whether they do it for a flat fee or a percentage of the bid, it is big business. And I think you kind of turn that stone over in the first segment. Most folks think because if they've been a felon, they can't go down this path. And so they just automatically pivot. to qualifying, right? And the reality is they do good work. Whether they were a foreman or they probably hit a lot of these benchmarks already. So how are you getting the word out? How are you getting CTC in front of these contractors? What's that process like?
So we're very good at digital marketing. We're very good at Google, Facebook, and we're using all platforms possible to let people know there is a path for everybody to get there. Now, if you're and as far as the felony thing goes, it really depends on how long ago it was and the severity of it. That's really what they look at, and the board is going to determine that on a case by case basis. But let's say if it's just somebody junior starting off, they've been working for a contractor for a few years, they don't have any felony anything, they're not sure they have experience or not. Go get our license consultation call. We'll help you figure out whether or not that's $79 with the PEO discount code. It's 10% off. If you end up buying a course from us, we'll give it back, we'll credit that back to you. So it ends up being a free call. But call our office 888-585-7350. They'll give you a appointment right away to talk to somebody for 30 minutes about whether or not you qualify, what you have, what experience you have, how we could present that to the state. And if you have another year to go, we'll let you know, and then you just come back later. But we'll help you figure it out. A lot of people have been working for somebody else for a while, and they're not sure if they qualify or not. Mm-hmm. Most of the time they do if we can help them put the picture together. That's what we do.
So is this process take as long as it takes them to get through it? Or is the testing quarterly? I mean, what's that really look like? If someone really wants to get in there and get under this thing, what kind of timelines are we looking at?
That's a great question. We get it all the time. If you're I'm assuming you're qualified, you already have the business entity set up, you already have insurance, bond, whatever, good credit, and you're in a hurry, you could probably get through it in 30 to 45 days if you just focus and take both tests back to back. But more than likely, it's going to take 3 months to get through the application process, get approved, then take the business law, and then practice and take the technical. So that's usually about 3 months, but you could do it a little faster. You can do it rapidly if you really focus in on it and all your ducks are in a row. We can have an application packet ready for you, literally, and just if you have all your information and stuff ready to go, we can have an application packet ready for you to submit to the state within just a few days.
Wow.
And so they can take the state test at any time, or is
they have to be approved first? You send in your application, and then once we send that application packet in, it gets approved, then they'll allow you to go take those tests.
Set certain schedule of courses, classes you could take, but can you take it anywhere, or is it?
Yeah, so PSI, who proctors the test for Florida, they have centers all over the state. Okay. So once you get that acceptance letter from the state, PSI gets it at the same time, then you can go into their system and log in and pick a date and time and location.
Easy is the way these days. Easy is the way these days.
No, I'm listening to Clayton, and every step they have to take to make sure they get licensed, and the communication and the conversations they're going to have to get with the right people to make sure they're taking the right steps to get it done. And I'm sitting here listening to this, and I'm saying, you just went through how much? I mean, it was tough. It was hard. It wasn't easy now, okay? But you got with the right company to go ahead and help you through it. And I'm sitting here saying, why wouldn't you do the same thing when it comes to starting your business, getting your employees, getting your general liability, getting your workers' comp, especially your workers' comp? Not having to worry about quarterly taxes, not having to worry about being audited, not having to worry about doing payroll. I'm like, why wouldn't an agent put that in front of them and say, okay, let's slide this PEO thing here and help them out? They just went through what they went through just now, just to get licensed. They spent the money. They took the test. It took time. They're done. They're happy they got through it. Now here comes the liability portion, getting your workers' comp in place.
No, we talk about it all the time on the show. Outsourcing is literally at an all-time high. Whether you're outsourcing your marketing or your PEO or getting your license, right? I mean,
it's that old saying: focused in the business or on the business, so that you're not going to scale and grow if you don't get out there and let other people take control of the minutia and the day-to-day operations stuff that you need to be focused on growing the business, doing what you're good at.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. We got about 3.5 minutes before break, right? So, that's one nice thing, amazing. I think that CTC not only gets you through this process, but then they catapult you along the way to get you moving and on your feet. So you've got someone that's finally gotten through this test. They've knuckled down, as Lionel just said. They got all their liabilities in order. Now what? Where does the business come from? Right? Mark Cuban's good old line: you don't have a business until you have clients, right?
Well, obviously, so your number one goal is to get, if you're new and starting out, you want to rank on Google and Facebook, you want some ads, you want to get out there, you want to put your name out there, and you want to get reviews. And that's what we tell people is that make sure that you go and get good reviews immediately. That's how you rank is in the map pack. And as soon as you get some, good website up and some good creatives, take pictures of all your jobs, take videos of your clients giving you praises. That stuff is, Facebook video ads reels are cheap right now. And, get a good digital marketing company to help you get the campaigns going. Get a retargeting campaign. That means somebody hits your website, they follow you around. Because they're buying from a contractor or a home improvement, it's a long thought process to do that. So once somebody visits your site, you want to follow them around the internet, make sure that you're omnipresent, that they see you everywhere. They'll come back and make a decision later on. So just do your marketing, let somebody else do it, outsource it. Don't try to do it all yourself. And then get the reviews. That's the main thing. Get the reviews because that helps you rank.
Man, times have changed. I mean, literally, Clayton, a lot of the contractors that Lionel and I insure, they literally would just put their ad in the construction blue book, right? They're not even in the phone book. They didn't have a website. If anything, maybe a Facebook landing page that someone put up, probably their daughter, and they whether it's a language barrier or it just didn't have to be. But I just feel like, the tides have turned. I mean, you're literally helping blue-collar construction workers get their license, and then the very next thing you say is get Facebook savvy. I mean, this is got to be a foreign concept to some of them.
Yeah, it is. And it's daunting to most of them, but guess what? They don't have to be Facebook savvy. They just have to hire an agency that is, and there's tons of them out there. Just make sure you get one that has good reviews, and just do the minimum digital marketing campaign that you can. That's really all you need, a really good digital marketing campaign. I call it branding, for dough, digital marketing, branding for show, digital marketing for dough. So you can, do billboards and all that all you want, but magazines, but that's just branding. If you want leads and conversions, do digital marketing. That's where you'll get your leads and conversions, your people who are interested in getting work done.
I think it's a little bit of fear. And not knowing what to expect. They see the bigger companies they're going against, and they have all these websites and all these things all over the place, and they just assume that it costs so much money to get it going, when it really doesn't.
It does not anymore. That's the good news. You can get a good website up for just a few $100s. You can get a good digital ad campaign for Facebook and Google Map Pack for just $1,000, maybe $2,000. And just pay $500 to $1,200 a month, and you'll get great digital marketing campaigns going. It'll help you out immensely.
It makes it sound so easy.
I just made a lot of people rich.
Just that easy. Did you hear that, Eric? For $1,200 a month, we're clickbaiting all way now. All right, plenty more coming back with Clayton and CTC. Stick around. All right. You are back with Everything PEO, Money Talk 1010 a.m. Clayton Turner in studio, digital marketing beast, founder of Contractor Training Center. Don't mind, we got a faulty chair in the building. But it's been a pretty informative hour, Clayton. I think one that's kind of on the bubble of possibly going down this path has certainly learned a lot today. And definitely want to ring that bell one more time on how anybody can get a hold of you, and certainly the awful generous promotion you're giving for our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. ContractorTrainingCenter.com is our website, and our number is 888-535-7350. We have a coupon code for your listeners, PEO, and that's 10% off of any of our services. We have a $79 license consultation call, which ends up essentially being free if you go with us for your license application and course test prep needs. So don't hesitate to invest in your own future to find out $79 to find out whether or not you qualify, what you need, if you're there, what kind of paperwork you need. We'll help you out, get you going.
Yeah, we call the show Everything PEO, but it's really anything entrepreneur. And that's the kind of the bell we're trying to ring here. Education has always been our biggest component with this show. And I think that really kind of hit the mark today. Anyone listening that's ready to punch that entrepreneurial bell, as Clayton said, you can get you through this whole process in roughly 45 days, assuming you got your ducks in a row and you're ready to get after it. I think that's pretty awesome. And to get you all the licenses, one of them that gets you into up to 13 states, you can finally take that leap of faith and invest in yourself. I think that was a good way to say it, Clayton.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody knows somebody who's right on the cusp of being able to do their own thing, and it's just like, am I qualified enough? Do I have everything that I need? Well, now for $79, you can take the guesswork out of it. You have a specialist that'll walk you through it. and let you know what you need and how close you are, or you're not. If you need to wait a couple more months or a year to get a little more experience, whatever it may be, we'll help you out.
We were kind of setting the stage this year as we came through the new year. Think about this. Obviously everyone knows minimum wage in Florida is going to $15 an hour soon. But beyond that, my son just got a job, at Chick-fil-A, and they're flirting with $12 to $16 an hour walking in. You can get a job at McDonald's, $17 an hour walking in the door. There's a time right now where if you're a skilled labor, and you know your worth, right? You've been working for this gentleman. You're leading the foreman crew. You're making $17 an hour. You got people walking in at Chick-fil-A making that very same amount. It's time to leverage that for better pay, or to finally walk that plank. I mean, it's never been tougher to find good, skilled employment. I don't know where they all went in the pandemic era, because the funny money's gone. All the relief, all the Band-Aids have got to be long spent. But there was never this big rush of everyone coming back. And I think there's so many folks kind of scratching their head. Where'd they all go?
Yeah.
I think Mike Rose said it. There's 7 million actively able-bodied people not looking for a job right now. 7 million.
Yeah. Now, I got a little theory on this. I know we're not a political show, but someone kind of laid it out to me, and this is what has made the most sense, right? Obviously, he shut down the wall a couple years before, right? So that brought some labor down, right? Unskilled labor down. And then everyone that was kind of on the, teetering on retirement, right? They were forced to go home through the pandemic, okay? And the reality is some of those folks proved it to themselves that now they can retire. It is okay. I don't need the money. I was able to make it work. And so between cutting off that kind of both ends of the labor pool, it seems like that's a good contributor to the shortage.
That's true. And to that point, if I can plug Contractor Training Center again, there's a lot of those people that own those businesses that hold the licenses that are getting ready to retire. So it's they are actively looking for somebody to take over the business and their license. So that means somebody else has to come behind them and get licensed before they can retire. We see that a lot in our business.
Wow. Yeah, right. You can't just inherit it, right? Or buy it, right?
You have to have somebody that can, that can carry that license over. And then therefore carry your insurance and, keep the business going. And
wow.
Yeah.
Hey,
well, we've got some. Go ahead, Lionel.
Go ahead, buddy. No, I was just going to go back to policies and workers' comp, general liability. You and I were talking before we got on air. I spoke to someone in the insurance agency, and especially when it comes to roofers. And we've heard that a roofer who's not licensed is now having a difficult time of getting general liability. I was asking you, have you heard that as well?
Yeah, and what one of the requirements for the board application is that you have to have a general liability policy. Now, whether or not they'll renew it if you don't, if you get your policy, then you go to renew your contractor's license, which you got to do every 2 years in Florida. Then you probably and your insurance goes to renew. You probably should have your license, before you do go renew. But you'll have to have a GL policy before when you send in your application to DBPR.
Yeah, so I think a lot of folks kind of that came in with the Hurricane Ian push. Initially, were told, you can just qualify through someone else. You'll get that policy very easily. And it seems right around that time things started to lock up, and there's a lot of folks that for weeks and weeks in a row we were showing articles of arrest stings and all these unlicensed contractors. And I think they found out when they got here that was really no longer the case. It's really tightened up from a compliance standpoint in Florida. Florida has workers' comp inspectors. They have a whole division of this. They go around to each job site. Not every state has that. Georgia doesn't even have that.
No, they don't.
Texas doesn't even have a mandate to buy workers' comp, no matter what your employment size is. You could have 300 employees and not have to carry workers' comp, which is just like bonkers to me.
Wow.
So, it's not the wild, wild west here anymore. So I think just through lack of education, people kind of flooding in, right? Not to plug CTC one more time, but if you're here, you're stuck. What do I do next? I moved here. Oh, my gosh. I think CTC is the path to get there very quickly. One more time, Clayton. Put it out there for our listeners.
ContractorTrainingCenter.com, 888-585-7350. Use discount code PEO. Get our license application assistance service or get the license consultation call, $79. It's 30 minutes of consult, ends up being free. and we'll help you figure out whether or not you're ready to apply, or if you we'll give you a checklist of what you need, all the items that you need, and we'll get you going on your journey. So don't be scared, don't be shy, because there are no dumb questions, and everybody's got a situation. Some people have a financial situation, some people have a credit situation, some people have a experience. So everybody's got something, but we end up figuring it out and helping you figure out how to get past that hurdle. Don't worry about it. Don't be shy. Don't worry about let us help you figure out how to get through that, and we're very good at that.
Yeah, being able to pay as you go through that process, I would imagine, helps a lot, right?
Yeah, and then you don't have to do everything at once. You can step through it. It takes a little while, but you can step through it and pay just a little bit here, a little bit there. Take this process out, knock that test out, then come back and take the other test later. So it's not a whole lot of money up front if you don't want it to be.
Well, Clayton, I know you're a man of many skill sets. I know ClaytonTurner.net is something that's kind of shown up in my feed lately.
I've done some stuff. I have, I have an entrepreneurial streak. I've had some businesses. I have had an agency, and have been, I've helped other companies with their, ranking and presence on the web, and getting products launched and companies launched. And I've always have that desire to help somebody, and I'm in the, in our Entrepreneurs Organization International Group. I meet people all over the world. Every time I travel, meet somebody, and we, collaborate on, launches and products and companies and rankings. And that's the main thing: being on the internet, being able to rank, being able to put your business on there, showing what your product or service does, having proof, social proof, having reviews, having good content, videos, pictures, whatever it may be, of your product, service, whoever, whatever you are. So key and critical right now to compete in the marketplace, e-commerce marketplace. You cannot not compete with the e-commerce marketplace now if you have a good product or service. And it's so simple to put it out there. And I love helping people do that.
Yeah, you've been instrumental in teaching me a lot. I know we're in our EO group together. And Mason Dorner's actually been on the show a couple of times.
Yeah.
He's kind of down that path with you guys, and it was kind of nice marrying you two. And hopefully you guys can collaborate and put something good together.
Yeah, he's the man. He's very varsity and living the life out there in California,
yeah.
I understand. I look forward to meeting him in May.
To be in your early 30s and not have children, I'm so jealous.
And traveling.
Yeah.
Wow.
He did. I think he did a month in Napa. He did a month in Malibu. He did a month in Breck. He's going to do a month in Vail. Like, I'm jelly.
And I think he has a 8 or 9 figure exit under his belt, maybe too, as well, something like that. But
He's on the right path.
Yeah.
Well, we got some big news for the show. I know we got a loyal listener fan group out there. We have everything PEO is going to be taking the summer off. We're going to do a 60 to 90 day hiatus, kind of regroup, get some new guests coming in, new content, maybe a new studio booth that I've been promised a couple of times. We can get out of the closet here, and even more importantly, this is Lionel Francis' last show.
It's my last show, folks. But I won't stay quiet. You'll hear and see me. I'll be all over LinkedIn, and I'll be all over Facebook. But so much going on. A lot of things happening right now. So I'm going to miss being here with you, buddy. But, I'll call the show and we'll work through some things here and there. We're still working together, making things happen. I just wanted everyone to understand I hope you get what we're trying to do here, especially when we're discussing PEO. We're not just throwing PEO out there. We're educating you about what steps and what things we could do to help you when you come on board with a PEO. That's why we bring people in like Clayton, and how we brought these other entrepreneurs involved, Steve last week, and we had Pat Cleary, and we had all these women entrepreneurs, so you can hear everyone's ideas, what steps it took to start a business, who did they surround themselves around to make sure they stay successful, what help you might need to get your license, what you should be watching out for. Clients, if you're trying to bring someone in to work on your home and you request workers' comp, well, what steps you need to make sure that they're providing you the correct paperwork, the correct certificate of workers' comp. We're here to educate, okay? PEOs, especially myself and Evan and our team here, we're huge in educating and making sure we take care of you. It's a relationship thing. We're not going anywhere. We just don't put someone on paper and just send them on the wind and just say, okay, good luck. Let's see what happens. we're going to be here for you to help you out with any needs you might have. And so.
Well, I think you've done the industry some real justice, my friend.
Well, I'm going to keep going. I'm not going anywhere. So.
No, we're kind of lifers in this thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep poking the bear.
It's really been awesome.
Same here, buddy. Same
here. It's kind of neat. There's really no other radio show in the PEO space that we've been able to find. I know there's a couple of podcasts out there, but trying to bring this education to clients and agents and really, the Tampa Bay area, we're quickly approaching that time when 2 out of 3 blue collar companies are getting their insurance through this platform, and yet you still find insurance agents not buying into it. It looks as a second tier or a second fiddle service to them, and yet you still find business owners that are hearing of it for the first time. So I just feel like that evolution, although it's come around, and what did we just quote? Nearly a quarter, 25% of all PEO clients in the country are based in Florida. I mean, these numbers are huge. This industry has quadrupled in the last 10 years, and Florida has literally been on the forefront of that. And you've been in that process the whole way, man. So, good for you. You've earned your stripes, man. You're like a 5-star general over here.
Listen, agents, understand we're in this together. This is not a competition. We're here to help you keep your clients instead of them going somewhere else. And then there's some of them out there that still, choose not to work with a PEO. Well, we're not going anywhere. And for those... I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to keep poking the bear. So you'll hear my name. I promise you.
Feather rustler that you are.
Yeah, you will hear my name.
Well, Clayton, it's been a great hour, my friend.
Thank you for having me, and I hope we've helped some people, and glad to be aboard.
Absolutely. One last time, anybody that's heard something today that they would like to get with Clayton on, go for it, my friend.
ContractorTrainingCenter.com, 888-585-7350. Use the discount code PEO. Let them know you heard me, and we'll get you the right people, get you the right packet, right info, get your checklist, get everything you need lined up to get applied and accepted.
It's a very generous offer. I appreciate you doing that for our listeners. 10% off goes a long way, especially when you're trying to get on your feet and start something new, right?
Sure.
I mean, think about that. Like so many businesses go down this rabbit hole and they get lost in R&D and logo design and where are we going to work and what are the trucks going to be wrapped like? Go get started. Just start today. Get those feet moving forward. Every entrepreneurial spirit has to know when to launch, right? And not to hold tight all the time. What's that old line? Analytical, you just, oh, God, it's on the tip of my tongue. But, eventually you have to stop analyzing and just go for it. And CTC puts you on that path pretty quickly. So,
that's right.
Next week, we've got Warren Spiewak with Global Safeguard. He's worked with businesses all over the country. We kind of plan to dive into how today's marketplace and companies can expand their business in a big way. Warren's role at Global Alliances at Safeguard, is really in sales, right? He's kind of, all over the place, oil and gas. He's called the pitch man. More importantly, they can help place payroll out of the country, right? Which has kind of become a big hot button, I would say, through the pandemic, right? Home-based businesses, home-based employees. All of a sudden, just in the last 2 months, PEO Advisors has had someone that has an employee in Germany and over in the Philippines. So times are changing, right? I mean, as Lionel and I were just saying, the evolution of this industry, it's quickly becoming, can you do payroll out of the country?
Wow.
So I think it's a good time to get Warren in here. He's actually hosted some podcasts himself, and it's going to be a good hour. That is for sure. He works with Aaron, our executive producer, and he's been waiting very patiently to get his turn in the studio. So that will be next week.
Betty, again, it's been a pleasure doing this with you, man.
I've enjoyed it, man.
Yeah.
Those 7 days, they go fast.
Yeah. Aaron, thank you. Eric, thank you. Shriner, where you at, baby?
Well, yeah, the Beasley team has been awfully great to us, and they're allowing us to take the summer off so we can all be with the kids. It's good timing there, but we're looking forward to reboot this thing, in about 90 days or so. Everyone knows how this ends. Love God, be kind to your staff, appreciate your PEO, and know that we're on a 167-hour break.
You've been listening to Everything PEO. where as another lesson comes to a close, another business gets smarter. Tune in next Wednesday at 6 p.m. so they can add your company to their satisfied group of savvy business graduates. Everything PEO.